The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, this is Steve Namaseevayum from iPass. I'm the Senior Global Director for our Supplier Relationship Management team here at iPass. So effectively I look after all the commercial roaming relationships that we have, as well as all the technical integrations and the support organization for all of our partners around the globe. Thank you for joining for today. The topic of today's webinar is a Q1 update on the global Wi-Fi network. Couple of housekeeping items. So coming in via the GoTo facility, we'll be dealing with questions at the end of the presentation, so please submit those via the chat functionality, and then we'll deal with those at the end. A copy of the presentation is also available to all participants, so that will become available after the webinar is finished as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's jump in. So slide 2. Please, Alex. We'll be talking about our network in terms of some of the nomenclature and the definitions. So first off, we have what we call our commercial hotspots. So these are typically public venues such as hotels, airports, cafes and restaurants and so forth. Typically commercial venues, as the name suggests here, where people will go in to purchase goods and services and so forth. Okay. Hi Alex, we have some background noise there.
Really busy week, and then it's like one of those things where you feel like.
Hi Alex, you've got some background noise.
Yeah.
Coming through. You want
Right, when I wish for.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi Alex,
yeah.
can you hear me?
That.
Apologies, folks. I think you just got some background noise coming through. Could you mute on that, please? Thank you. Sorry, folks. So the second definition of hotspots that we have are our community hotspots. So as it suggests, these are residential locations. So typically what you have here is somebody's home where they have their own internet connectivity for their own use. But actually the hotspots being opened up for roaming as well. So iPass has a large number of community hotspots, in excess of 40 million hotspots around the globe. That we're able to access, so pretty useful actually. In fact, this week I'm on vacation, so I'm dialing in remotely to host this call, and just in the neighborhood where I'm in, there are a large number of community hotspots that I'm able to use, as well as a venue that would, the home that I'm staying at. Okay. Next we have open access hotspots. So these are what we call free locations. What iPass is doing through our Smart Connect technology is curating in these free hotspots to extend the networks. Also, what we're doing, which brings a lot of value to these free hotspots, is layering in additional security. So we have a feature called a last mile VPN that we layer over the top to make that Wi-Fi hotspot more secure. So whilst we see a lot of advertisements and marketing of free Wi-Fi, the concern we have is actually how secure that Wi-Fi hotspot is, and also if any hacking or anything untoward that's happening inside that hotspot. So hence why we're bringing in the security features such as the last mile VPN. Okay. Slide 3, please, Alex. So on this slide, we're just showing the growth of the network over the last 4 years. So you can see it's going up pretty aggressively. 2017 we came in at 64 million. We've added 100,000 over the course of the last 12 months. I'll talk to you in the second half of the presentation about the hotspots that are coming and how that number will change as well. Okay. Slide 4, please. So here we're just showing the regional representation of those hotspots around the globe. So in the Americas, we're close to 30 million. In Europe, we've exceeded 30 million. Australia and Oceania, nearly 2.5 million. Asia and Middle East, 1.5 million. Well, okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about the venue types on slide 5. So this just tells you the different verticals that we have. So airports, 766 airports. We have a lot of the key airports. So we pride ourselves on, for example, making sure that we have coverage in a lot of the world's top 100 airports as well. In-flight, we're going to talk a bit more about this topic later. But today, as it stands, we have more than 4,000 aircraft enabled with iPass service. And then in hotels, we have, I believe it's close to 85,000 hotels. So this is a particularly important venue type to us, whereas in-flight Wi-Fi is, is the fastest growing venue type for us in terms of usage and so forth. Hotels for the last 15 years have been sort of a very much, if you pardon the pun, but it's a cash cow. A lot of where the usage that we generate is inside hotels. If you think about the characteristics, the nature that you'll typically have some dwell time in the evenings or mornings before heading off to work, also for conferences as well. Okay. We have 20 million plus local businesses, SMB type locations around the globe. I mentioned earlier the community hotspots, so yes, in excess of 41 million hotspots and 144,000 restaurants and cafes. Okay. I want to talk a little bit next about our partners, our roaming partners that we're fortunate to work with. So we've been effectively iPass. I think a lot of you know, we don't actually build out physical network infrastructure. We partner with companies so that we have the rights to roam onto those networks. And we've been in this business when it comes to Wi-Fi roaming since 2001. And we've been fortunate to partner up with a lot of the best networks around the globe. So you can see across the different continents, we have China Mobile, NTT Docomo, BT, Deutsche Telekom. In the US, Xfinity, AT&T, and then in the Middle East and Africa, partners such as Telecom and Liquid. We're calling out a lot of carriers here, but the ecosystem of Wi-Fi operators is actually quite complex. So if we look at Inflight, for example, in North America, you can see GoGo listed. But the typical systems integrators that are in Inflight right now are not typically what we sort of call the carriers at least, or household names. So we have to go sort of search for those guys and bring them in as well. Similar thing for hospitality. So today, iPass has probably in excess of 30 companies that specialize in hospitality Wi-Fi around the globe. And we're trying to grow that number more as well. But, whilst there are a few carriers doing hospitality Wi-Fi, a lot of the companies that we work with are specialists, so they will do the Wi-Fi connectivity for the hotel. They'll also do the property management system as well as the business center technology as well. Okay. Next, we'll move to slide 7 next. We'll talk a little bit about the in-flight footprint inventory. So I mentioned earlier that we have in excess of 4,000 aircraft. We work with 40 plus leading airlines, as it says here. You can see a lot of the airline carrier names. And then our systems integrator partners, these are the companies that work with the airline carriers to install their technology. Now, you'll see along the bottom, United Airlines is called out. So a few years back, United actually became the systems, the technology provider themselves, so the ISP in effect. So we have a direct relationship with United Airlines in this instance as well. Okay. And then moving to slide 8, I mentioned hospitality calls out 81,000 venues here. So you can see some of the key brands that we're working with when it comes to hospitality. Okay. So just changing tracks a little bit, I wanted to talk a bit about the roadmap for the network, what we're working on right now. Slide 10, we're talking about the in-flight roadmap. So as of today, we are already working with Panasonic, but we are trying to do a lot more with Panasonic to bring on more airline carriers. and planes as well. So we have about close to 350 planes currently being worked on with Panasonic to bring them in. We have already have an agreement in place as such. We're just trying to finish off the integration. Also on Inflight, for this year at least, we are targeting adding another key systems integrator partner that is providing a lot of the aircraft technologies to one of the leading airlines in the US. And then in the Middle East and Asia, we're also working with a partner of in-flight technology there as well. The intent of signing a contract in the second half of this year. I'll add that partner themselves. They have, I think it's close to 20 airlines across the globe. Then next we have, I'll talk about hospitality. So particularly in the US, we have a lot of focus right now in terms of adding a lot of more hotels to the service to improve the coverage. So we're talking about roughly 4,000 hotel locations in the US right now through a couple of deals that we're working on. Okay. And then there's a couple of things that I'll add as well. Just in terms of other coverage that we're adding, if I look around the globe, and I'll deal with Europe first, we're working hard on securing a deal for a lot more community hotspots in excess of 10 million locations, which I believe will basically be able to announce that in the first half of the year, so in June. We're also adding more commercial hotspots around Europe and Asia and in the US through a deal that we're working on with one partner right now. They tend to focus in airports, hotels, and cafes as well. And then fairly recently, 2 weeks ago, we launched a new network in the UK with a company called XLN. So they have around 20,000 commercial hotspots, typically focused in high street locations such as cafes and restaurants and so forth as well. Okay. If we look outside, look towards Asia, we recently added in end of last year actually a lot of hotspots in Singapore. So whilst it's obviously a state economy, we added in 4,500 locations through a partnership that we have with one of the leading operators called M1, and we're currently working on another deal with one of the other leading operators to add in about 1,000 locations. Also focused on Australia, we added in about 1,500 locations last year, and we're looking for more opportunity there in the second half of the year. And we've been also focusing a lot of attention on India. So India's been a tough market just in terms of the maturity of the Wi-Fi infrastructure and how it's evolved over the last few years. It does seem to be now sort of improving a lot. So we've added in one partner at the end of last year. We're currently working on a new deal for another partner. So we're talking about two of the leading carriers that are really sort of investing a lot in Wi-Fi technology in India right now, and we're fortunate enough to be working with both of those. Okay. So I'll just summarize where does that put us at the 64.2 million hotspots, and that's where we are today. Coverage in 180 plus countries and partnerships with 140 plus network partners. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. I believe we can open it up for questions. The presentation will be made available after the webinar finishes, and if you have any further questions after today, then feel free to contact myself, your account manager, or sales@ipass.com. Hey Alex, so I guess let's give folks, I don't know if anything came through during the presentation, but
yeah, we have one question here. It has been commonplace that the open access hotspots tend to be jammed up when the traffic goes up. Would that be something relatively easy to fix?
Yeah, good question. So iPass's Smart Connect technology effectively it is designed to understand how a hotspot is performing from a quality of service perspective. So, you know, the big data engine inside iPass Smart Connect is called Verify. So effectively, that's scanning the hotspot, you know, constantly, and for example, collecting information such as signal strength, collecting things such as connection success rates. So if it detects that actually that hotspot looks like it is pretty jammed up, let's say it's your favorite coffee shop at 8:30 in the morning on a main high street in New York or London, doesn't look too good, then the technology will make the decision not to connect that user, you know, at that point in time. May even blacklist the hotspot so they don't have a lousy experience. And it's even worse if they've got good cellular coverage and then they're taken off and putting on bad Wi-Fi. So we sort of call that sort of bad Wi-Fi avoidance effectively. So yes, our technology is designed to effectively give you the best network available. And yeah, that we're doing it through the Verify big data engine. Okay, any other questions there, Alex?
Hi, Steve. Yeah, we've had a couple requesting the slides, that they've received the slides after the presentation.
Yeah, so that will happen after today's call. How immediately does it go out, Alex?
I believe it goes out the day after, so tomorrow.
Okay. All right. And was there another question there?
None right now.
Give it a little longer.
Hey, Steve, it looks like that's all we're going to receive.
Okay. Well, folks, you know where we are. Again, if you have an account manager at iPass, feel free to reach out. There's sales@ipass.com. If you have mine or Alex's contact details as well, then don't hesitate. But I'd like to thank you for your time today. Much appreciated, and have a good day.